What's up guys, welcome to Barrookie. Today's video, let's talk about cold water exposure, what I learned doing it for 30 days and why you should be doing it. Let's go! So the reason I started with cold water exposure was for one, improved sleep, because I was getting a newborn and I really needed to get those good Z's in. The second thing is, getting cold is really something that's bothering me, and I hope to resolve this with cold water exposure so my body knows how to heat up. And I also don't want to get sick in the winter, so I really want to get better immunity. And the last thing is discipline. Doing something uncomfortable will help you improve discipline. So that is what I'm after. Let's start talking about discipline. I really think that is helping because I'm doing it first thing in the morning. So what I'm doing is I'm setting the bar high for myself in order to be more disciplined, and kickstarting off your day with some discipline really helps you get more discipline throughout the day. So it's really something that I feel is working, and I really like that part. The reason I don't like cold water exposure is you have to get wet, and just starting your day getting wet, having to dry off because you're feeling cold is just not a fun experience. So knowing that the next day it's not gonna help, but being able to push through that even though it feels uncomfortable is also something that really helps with that discipline part. Another reason I want to do this in the morning is because according to the podcast Huberman Lab, if you're doing cold exposure in the morning, you're going to increase the cortisol, so eventually you're going to sleep better at night. And by exposing yourself to cold water, you're going to increase your core body temperature, and you really want that apparently in the morning. So double win. So just to clear things up, this is called cold water exposure because we're not really getting very low temperatures. And the reason for that is I'm not doing anything to decrease the temperature. I'm just having a bath, a big body of water, and I just let that sit outside, preferably not in the sun. When it was 30 degrees Celsius outside, I got about 20 degrees Celsius in the bathtub. Now, that's a little bit on the high end. Now that it's relatively getting colder, like over in the daytime we get like 20 degrees Celsius, my ice bath or my cold water bath stays about 14-15 degrees Celsius, which is actually a sweet spot if you want cold water exposure. If we're talking about ice baths, we really want to go to the 5 degrees Celsius and lower, but that is something I hope we can hit in the winter. So that's why I wanted to do this thing already in the summer. That way I already get the habit of being cold and uncomfortable, and then hopefully my body will adapt better transitioning into the cold water as it gets like ice bath temperatures. I think this is a good approach, and I hope we can reap the benefits once we hit the winter, and I will definitely make a video about that once we get there. Now, let's talk practicality first. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. I only got this, I got a tub, a rain tub actually, so that set me back like 100 euros. This one is 300 liters big, so not too fancy, but just enough for me to get in, be semi-comfortable in a sitting position, and then just put some water in and you're good. I also recommend, if you're going to go and buy a rain tub or something, make sure that you do it in a store where you can actually go and sit into the tub and see if it's comfortable, see if it will work for you. And then for the water, I use rainwater, which only costs me electricity to pump out the water. So that's basically for free. Now, another practical thing is keeping that thing clean, because you're going to sit in there every single day. There are obviously some oils and some maybe debris that's going to be on you that is going to transfer into the bath. And if you're going to sit in there day by day, eventually the tub will get dirty. And that was one of my main concerns, because if you see cold water exposures on the internet, you see nobody really talking about that. You really have to make sure that your feet are clean as you get into the tub. You also have to make sure that no grass gets in. Also, this one has a lid, so always put on the lid after you're done using it. That's also a great way to avoid debris falling into it. And I reckon If you clean this one out every 30 days, you'll be good. You can keep your bath clean for 30 days. I also reckon that now it's summer, so it's also the most difficult time of the year to keep your water clean. It is warmer, so bacteria and all these stuff can grow better. I do recommend just emptying out the whole tub after 30 days. That is going to be a sweet spot, and that's only 12 times a year, which is actually acceptable. Even though I took out all the water, I still found some residue at the bottom, so make sure you really make sure that's clean in order to fill it up again, and then you're good. I filled it up not completely, because then you're always going to have overflow the first couple of times, and that's just a waste of water. So it's actually filled up 70% or something. So we get around 210 liters into that tub. All right, so let's talk about my experience with the cold water exposure itself. As I said earlier, I don't really like getting wet, and especially not the cold, wet kind, and then having to dry off. I always feel that doesn't really go well. Yeah, it's something that I have to push myself through, and that really creates discipline in my opinion, so I think there we have a W. Now, on the other hand, as it comes to cold resistance, I don't really think this water is cold enough to give me the response that I'm looking for, or maybe I'm just not far away into it, but whenever I get out of the tub, I really feel that my hands and my feet are staying cold for a long time, like half an hour to an hour after taking the bath. And typically you expect like a response of your body, that the blood is going to flow through everything and that you really have warm hands and warm feet, which was actually my initial thought, but apparently that doesn't work that way. And I think that's because the water isn't cold enough. I think when we get to ice baths, that is really going to be more of a thing. Yeah, we're going to have to get colder in order to get that jolt of hotness into my body. Now, on the other hand, if we're talking about sleep, my sleep did improve, which is actually crazy. Now, knowing that 6 weeks ago I had a baby girl, so a newborn definitely means that you're going to have less sleep, but I really feel that my sleep has improved even though we got that newborn baby. So that's also a very nice thing to have. That's a W for me as well. As it comes to immunity, that's more difficult to measure in 30 days, for the reason being that, one, it's summertime, so people usually get less sick in the summer. So I'm hoping if we're getting to a half year, a year mark of doing this stuff, that we'll get better results and that it will be easier to explain whether or not I got that immunity response that I was after. Another thing that's beneficial from doing cold water exposure is the meditation aspect. So every single morning I put a timer of 2.5 minutes and I just sit in my tub. And in order to really stay calm under the cold circumstances, you really have to try and breathe deeply and slowly so that you really calm yourself down and not get that response. So in order to do so, you're basically having like a quick meditation that is built into the cold water exposure. So you're outside with you, your breath, and trying to stay calm. So I think cold water exposure as a meditation first thing in the morning is a great way to get some energy in and to really start your day calm, relaxed, and disciplined. Trying to control your breath, trying to take a hold of that is going to help you manage staying calm and staying relatively comfortable in the cold water. That's basically my journey now with cold water exposure. So I'm very excited about the days to come, about the months to come, going into ice bath territory. So I'm hoping you're subscribing because there is going to be a follow-up video on that. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you liked this video. I hope you got something out of it, and I guess I'll be seeing you all in the next video. Peace!